So, you guys, first things first, I'm going to cut a piece of fabric. And what are we going to do? We're going to make a mask. So, here goes. I tend to make them out of batik though, you guys. I've only made a few, and I've only made them for people, close friends or family. So this is it entirely turned, it's still the wrong way around. But batik, let's talk batik. Batik is your friend. The weave is denser, tighter than regular quilt cotton. But some of you may not have batik at home, or you might not have batik you're willing to part with for a mask. And you should really pre-wash it. I've eliminated as many steps as I can, and you still get a great mask. Then I realized if I show you on batik, it's hard for you to follow along right side, wrong side. So I'm going to do one mask in quilt cotton, because that might help make sense for you. So I'm going to take us over to the iron, which is warm and ready. So there we go. I'm going to take you this way so you got something pretty to see all the way along until we get to the iron. All right. Now I'm hoping I'm going to try to put this, you guys, so that I can see what we're doing with you. All right. So this is a no mark one. And what we have is an 8 by 16 inch piece of fabric, or 20 by 40 centimeters. And pretty close is pretty good for this, you guys. So what I want you to do is fold it in half on the long ways. Give it a quick little press, nothing permanent, nothing forever. I'm just using that as a mark for us. And then we're going to press it again. Okay, so we've got that press in the middle. It's just a mark for us. Then we're going to take this end, put a heavy crease in it, both sides. The press is a little heavier. Then I want you to bring that flap out to the end here. Give that a good press. We'll bring that around. Bring that one out. Okay, so then what we're going to do is that the first and second crease that we put in there, remember the very first one down the middle here? I made it a little too light, so I'm going to make it a little heavier. So what we're looking at right now is kind of a book. You see how that one's folded? I want you to flip it over to the back and see these two bumpity up ones? I want you to take the first one to the center one. And what we're going to do is just sneak in there and press the spot that isn't pressed. And so this one to the middle there. You can flip that back if you want. Remember, you can rewind this and go slow. So what we have then, we're going to take the first pleat and tuck it into that first fold now. Press, bring the second pleat up to the first one. Press. Then you can fold that in half if you like. Turn it around here. So what we're essentially got up here is, some of you will recognize a box pleat. So on the other half, we're going to take the first bump, I don't know, Lana, we'll figure it out. So I'm going to take that first pleat and tuck it into that next crease. Then I'm going to bring that other pleat and meet them in the middle here. I'm going to bring that down. So what we now have is a box pleat here and a box pleat here. Here's that original, fold it and press it in half. If you want to, while we have it on the ironing board flat, you can put your elastic in. And the elastic is 1/8 inch cut at 7 inches. And tuck that first one into the fold here. Let me just turn that a wee bit. And then you want to make sure it doesn't flip. Keep it nice and flat. And you can bring that first one around to here, about a 1/2 inch down from the top. And you can pin that in place. And you'll do the same for the other side. So, about a 1/2 inch down. Pin in place. Bring this around flat. That fold is right here, and I'm just going to tuck this just above the fold. Nice, right? Clips are just a little nicer because this always distorts. You can kind of see the puckering. But for whatever reason, I brought my purse today and not my sewing kit. So I'm gonna go again. Okay, I'll whip through this really quickly. So you can see a big box pleat under there, big box pleat up here, and they meet in the middle. Now, while we're in this position, there's a couple ways to finish this, you guys, but one of them is to press this little lip over here, about 1/4 inch. So do the first one. And then with these folded in half, lined up, then you just peel this one back and iron it to line up with the one underneath. No matter what that one looks like, in case something slipped. Now when it's box pleat, and flat, this is when we can put the elastic in. These iron back now, or the one I just put the elastic in, I can go and iron that little lip over. I can put the one edge of the elastic, let's use the clips, and next to the fold here. Make sure it remains flat. And now I've pressed that under 1/4 inch up there. You can put it somewhere within the top 1/4 inch. So somewhere in that top 1/4 inch. Pinch it, make sure this is flat, no twists in it, bring it around. Clip it, and then fold that closed. By doing a longer piece than that, we've eliminated a seam down here. Now, I'm not threaded for sewing, and I'm going to take this piece too for options.
Okay.
Okay. So when this piece is out and flat, remove that pin because it's just too dangerous. We could just serge the top of this, and where we folded it over at the iron. This one's not.
You're going to be so stylish with your shopping bag and mask the match.
Right? I'm going to just serge both of the top edges there. And now I could take these to the iron and press those under using the serging as the mark. Or I can go and do all the folding. Can I squeeze in here?
Yep.
Just roll the foot down. All right, so I'm going to put this one back together that I just took apart. There's my top with the box pleat. Here's my bottom with the box pleat and my halfway undone elastics. You can put the serging in any order, before, after, before you take it to the iron. So see, I'm just gonna put that below the serging. And I'm gonna put this piece in just below that serging. And then I'm gonna take this piece and fold it on top of this piece. Now, this is threaded for gold. Okay, just a regular old straight stitch, you guys. Sorry. Now, I'm gonna do something a bit different than what I was showing you earlier. I'm just gonna sew these in here. I'm gonna move the needle over because I've got the big foot on, but about 1/4 of an inch. Do some back stitching there. I might even back stitch a little bit more over the elastic. And just make sure that all of this stays flat. I can feel the elastic in there. Maybe match that. So back tack here and over the elastic. Back tack down there. And then I like to sew from the tops to the folds. So match the top edges up here. That one keeps wanting to move. Make sure those box pleats are down and flat. Batik is a lot friendlier to stitch with as well. It's less jumpy and wiggly, quite flat. All right, so there's the one box pleat, the other box pleat. Then we're going to reach down in there and do the Jiffy finger fold. You could have done this on the serger as well. I just moved over for the sake of the people with a sewing machine. So fold that seam allowance over, make a nice point here, and then poke. So you can see where we're going with this. Now would be a good time to press again. So if you just want to get those edges out and flat, and then that crease that we put in there earlier is actually the wrong way now, so we're going to take it out. Ooh. Arm was too hot for that elastic. Oh, well.
I bet you know how to fix that with a stitch ripper and a new piece of elastic.
Easy peasy, but not for this.
But not on camera.
So then this bit here, it's really easy to take and tuck in now. So, and if you want to make it just the same, the pressed one, leave it on the bottom. Push everything down flat. Move to a cooler spot on the board. The iron's just a bit too hot for what we're doing. Then just roll this one under so it's the same. I would actually, personally, I probably wouldn't press this now. I would probably take it to the iron and fold as I go, or to the sewing machine, you guys. But that's the kind of sewer I am. So some of you might go, why is she pressing that? Because you might be that kind of sewer. Now, there's some choices here. So we're going to put that up that way. This mask can be sewn now all the way around, and that closes that seam, and it was easy turning. or you can leave a couple inches, 2.5 inches open in the middle here. So sew around and stop, leaving a hole here. And then you can insert a piece of material for filtering. And probably most of you, cutaway stabilizer, lightweight or heavyweight, will fit in here as a filter. Cut it 6 inches by 6 inches and just insert it in. And then you can pull it out to wash everything. And then this will just pop back down. And it'll have a hole in the top. Or you can insert, just tuck under here a piece of wire, and you can sew it in. And then you actually have a bridge piece. But this is not to prevent contraction of COVID. This is for your personal use only. I'm just moving the needle to where I want it, you guys. Some of the fun of this is making the machine do what you want, be where you want. A lot of people struggle with the machine the way it is, and it's not convenient for what they're doing. So don't. It's easy to be accurate by moving the needle to where it's easiest for you to see. So I'm going to do roughly a small 1/8 inch top stitching here. This might be somewhere where I would use my stiletto under here. I don't use the seam ripper, but I don't know where the stiletto is right this minute. So when you come around a corner with bulk, you want to make sure it's actually moving.
So your weird plastic height compensating tool with your Berninas, or there's a button on the back of your brother feet to push in to keep your foot level.
Yeah, height compensation.
Hump jumper. It has lots of names.
See, and if I don't like how that's folding, I just use the end of my stiletto to tuck it in. Make sure it's moving when you go around the corner. So you see where we're at? We've got this folded in. If you come all the way to where we started, it's closed in. If you leave a gap here, then it's open to put a filter in. When I sent these to my sister, what I did was I sewed it partially, back tacked at both of these ends, and then I went into a really big base stitch and I sewed it closed. My sister's not a sewer at all, so, but even she can rip these out and get that hole open. I didn't know if she wanted to be able to put filters in there. So hers is basted shut, and then that means that can tuck this over, and it actually fits. It's soft. The batik is thinner, you guys, and it's lighter to wear. You got glasses? Make sure that they're not in the mask, because they'll fog up. Make sure that they go over, then they don't fog up. So a lot of people are getting the mask so that it's kind of coming up there. Your glasses will fog. I love this because I'll put this on. I'll put these on. They don't fog up this way. So
sweet.
What you need, you guys, is under chin fit, up over the bridge of your nose fit, and tight. So if you have a small face and 7 inches is too big, shorten it. if I have to make a custom mask for Michael right now. He is so long from here to here. An average face mask like this, if he puts it on the bridge up here, it only comes to here. It defeats the purpose of the whole thing. And then hopefully not too gappy, and this fits close to your cheek. Now, the other problem with this mask is it's the same color, both sides. So if you happen to put it on and take it off in the car, and you put it back on, which way are you putting it on? Do you have germs that you just now put in your face? So I took a Sharpie marker and put a big eye. I drew a big eye on the inside so that she would know that that was the way she had it on in the morning. And that if she took it off, when she put it back on, it was the right way, the way it was earlier. Just something you should keep in mind. And otherwise, you can make this mask with 2 pieces of fabric, and then you'll know which side you've worn out. But this eliminates at least one seam and some of your time. But when you get a feel for how the ironing goes on this, it goes really quickly. And it really takes me about 5 minutes to make one of these masks, cutting, ironing, and sewing on my face. And you can make the whole thing on the serger, or you can make the whole thing on the sewing machine, doesn't matter. Oh, and a tip on elastic. So if you've got a ream and ream of elastic, fold it in half, get 2 ends here. Lay it out on your cutting mat. And cut in pairs, just run along and go. Once you decide what length you're going with, 7-inch, 14-inch, 21-inch, all the way down the board. It's so much faster than measuring, cutting, measuring, cutting. We have a couple minutes to talk about permutations. So while we have this 8 by 16 piece, I could go and I could hem these edges with the sewing machine, or I can go serge them off right now and press those first if I want to. But if I turn them down first, it changes where the folds might be, but not enough to make a difference. So you could do this one in the reverse with the right sides out and bind the edges. As you put the ties on, you can use the binder and catch those edges and keep on going down for the ties. Yeah, just don't fold it right sides together. When you make it, fold it all up so the box pleat, this isn't the right size piece, this is the remnant, but we'll just mock it up. So say we've got all those pleats here, and then you can turn this edge under before you get going, and then pleat it all up, and then come in here with the binding attachment. Run this through the binder. And you can also take this and do the other pleats this way, but it's a lot bulkier. And a lot of people are having a hard time sewing through this, and they're breaking their needles and they're skipping stitches, and it's annoying. And this two box pleats, it sits so nice and flat when it's not being worn. And if it went all funky in the laundry and you just kind of pulled it back out flat, you could iron the creases back in there. Not that you need them, because some of the other masks are just gathered. They have ruffles here. But this one would be easier to tuck away in your bag, and it's tighter and tidier. And then remember, if you've got someone who's smaller or taller, you're looking for like cheekbone measurement across the bridge of the nose if you want to make a custom fit. So you're going to measure cheekbone to cheekbone across the nose. That's the width you need, which in this instance is the 8. And then the 16 is actually just 8 this way when you're done, but it pulls open to the 8. So for someone, Michael's waiting for me to measure him from bridge of nose to where your chin meets your neck, that measurement. And that's what your mask will need to fold open. So you can take those 2 measurements and cut your fabric from that. And if it's easier to do it without the fold, so say you got 9 by 10, it would be 9 by 20, or 2 9 by 10s, with maybe add a 1/4 inch seam allowance on each side, for if you want to join it at the bottom. If you want to do 2 colored ones, you're just going to put a seam at the bottom so that there's an inside and an outside. It's not a medical grade mask, but if everybody's wearing a mask when they go out, a lot less likelihood of sharing a cold or any other special germ that people tend to take and share with friends. Anyway, there you go.